Have you led an audit of any organization? Yes or no? I don't want a long answer. Yes or no? Have you led an audit of any organization of which you were in charge?
Senator, in both of the organizations I ran, we were always completely fiscally responsible.
Yes or no? Did you lead an audit?
And the way
yes or no? Did you lead an audit? Yes or no? What are you afraid of? You can't answer this question. Yes or no? Did you lead an audit? Do you not know this answer?
Senator, every
yes or
part
no?
of my leadership
yes
of these organizations
yes
has
or
been
no? Did you lead an audit?
misrepresented.
I will take that as a no.
Bottom.
What were the findings? So there were no findings because you've never led an audit. What guidance did you give the auditors? None, because you've never led an audit. Nobody expects you to be an accountant, Mr. Hegseth. What we expect is for you to understand the complexity of this Pentagon budget process that is absolutely necessary to outfit our warfighters.
Republican politicians in this past election cycle did everything they possibly could to convince their constituents that the one thing that they cared about was cost groceries, energy, housing, cost. And so, in some bizarre world in which Republicans actually kept their word, you'd assume that this new MAGA majority in the House and in the Senate would be focused on one thing with their first piece of legislation cost, and you would be wrong. Of course you would be. Of course you would be wrong. Republicans do not actually care about cost, but what they do care about is attacking trans kids. Yes, Republicans in Congress want to make sure that trans kids in middle school and high school don't just have to worry about bullies in their classroom, but they also want to bully them from the position of the federal government. That's what we're doing with our time. That's what the newly elected MAGA majority is focused on. Well, yes, of course they are. It is ridiculous. It is awful. It is bigoted. And they are rightfully being called out for it, not just by AOC, but my own member of Congress, Maxwell Frost, who was slamming not just MAGA as a whole, but Donald Trump as well for their bigotry. And I want to get into all of that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really means the world to me. Now let's get into these takedowns of MAGA from AOC and Max Frost right here.
You're quite sure that every general who serves should not go directly into the defense industry for 10 years. But you're not willing to make that same pledge?
I'm not a general, Senator.
You'll be the one, let us just be clear, in charge of the generals. So you're saying sauce for the goose, but certainly not sauce for the gander?
I would want to see what the policy of the president is.
Oh, I'll bet you would.
Thank you, Senator Warren.
Senator, again, I very much appreciate you bringing up my comments from 2013, because for me, this issue has always been about standards. And unfortunately, because of some of the people that have been in political power for the last 4 years, priorities other than standards, lethality, and meritocracy have driven decision-making.
I'm quoting you from the podcast. Women shouldn't be in combat at all. Where is the reference to standards that they should be there if they can carry, if they can run? I don't see that at all, Mr. Hegseth. What I see is that there's a 32-day period in which you suddenly have another description about your views of women in the military. And I just want to know, what changed in the 32 days that the song you sang is not the song you come in here today to sing?
Senator, the concerns I have and the concerns that many have had, especially in ground combat units, is that in pursuit of certain percentages or quotas, standards have been changed. And that makes the combat more difficult for everybody involved.
Let me make a suggestion about what happened in that 32 days. You got a nomination from President Trump. Now, I've heard of deathbed conversions, but this is the first time I've heard of a nomination conversion. And I hope you understand that many women serving in the military right now might think that if you can convert so rapidly your long-held and aggressively pursued views in just 32 days, that 32 days after you get confirmed, maybe you'll just reverse those views and go back to the old guy who said straight up, women do not belong in combat.
And as you said in your statement, do you agree anybody should be able to serve in the military if they meet the standards?
Senator, as the president has stated, I don't disagree with the overturn of Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Great, because I don't want you thinking, can't serve if you're a mom, can't serve if you're LGBTQ, and then last, can't serve if you're a leftist. The statements you said about people who have views differently than you, that we're the enemy, are you saying that 50% of the DOD, if they hold liberal views or leftist views or are Democrats, are not welcome in the military? Are you saying that?
Senator, I volunteered to deploy to Afghanistan under Democrat President Barack Obama. I also volunteered to guard the inauguration of Joe Biden, but was denied the opportunity to serve because I was identified as an extremist by my own unit for a Christian tattoo.
Mr. Hegseth, do you know what percentage of our military is comprised of women?
I believe it's 18 to 20%, Senator.
It's almost 18%, and in fact, DOD's 2023 demographic report indicated that there are more women serving now, and there are fewer separations. So they make up a critical part of our military, wouldn't you agree?
Yes, ma'am. Women in our military, as I have said publicly, have and continue to make amazing contributions across all aspects of our battlefield.
Well, you also write in your book, The War on Warriors, with the chapter, The Deadly Obsession with Women Warriors, that, quote, not only are women comparatively less effective than men in combat roles, but they are more likely to be objectified by the enemy and their own nation in the moral realms of war. Mr. Hegseth, should we take it to believe that you believe that the two women on this committee who have served honorably and with distinction made our military less effective and less capable?
I'm incredibly grateful for the two women who've served our military in uniform, and including in the Central Intelligence Agency, contributions on the battlefield, indispensable contributions. Senator, I would like to clarify, when I'm talking about that issue, it's not about the capabilities of men and women, it's about standards. And this committee has talked a lot about standards. Standards that we, unfortunately, over time, have seen eroded in certain duty positions, certain schools, certain places, which affects readiness, which is what I care about the most, readiness on the battlefield.
I appreciate that.
And so my comments point time and time again to standards.
Your statements publicly have not been to that effect. After your nomination, you did state to a group of reporters that you, quote, support all women serving in our military today.
This is clearly not a party that cares about kids or family values or women. It couldn't be more apparent. And if you need any more evidence of that, just listen to Elizabeth Warren grill Pete Hegseth, of course deservedly. So during his Senate confirmation hearing, it'll make your skin crawl.
Zonim is Ansari. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to oppose the GOP Child Predator Empowerment Act. This bill is an egregious attack on young women and girls. Everyone in this room knows that this legislation has the power to threaten the physical and mental safety of minors. Schools and athletic institutions already have rules around fairness and safety in children's sports. This is literally why we have the NCAA. This bill is textbook government overreach meant to fuel division. Further, this bill provides no enforcement guidelines, insinuating that Republicans are just fine with subjecting young women and girls to invasive, humiliating medical examinations and physical inspections. This is an attack on the mental and sexual safety of all girls in this country as young as kindergarten. Everyone deserves to have the opportunity to learn the camaraderie and life lessons that come with playing sports. I am a strong no on this legislation because I believe we should be making our children safer, not empowering adult strangers to investigate their most private physicality. Congress needs to get back to our jobs, lowering costs for everyday families and working on issues that affect the vast majority of us. I yield back.
Here we are today, Republicans who have voted consistently against the Violence Against Women Act, who have taken away the right of all women to choose and have control over their own body, who, as women are bleeding out in parking lots across the country, standing there, allowing us to die, now want to pretend today that they care about women. And why? To open up gender and, yes, genital examinations into little girls in this country in the so-called name of attacking trans girls. And to that, today, what we have to say are two words: not today. The majority right now says there's no place in this bill that says it opens up for genital examinations. Well, here's the thing. There's no enforcement mechanism in this bill. And when there is no enforcement mechanism, you open the door to every enforcement mechanism.
This is not a family values party. This is not a pro-kids party. Of course, this is not a pro-life party. Pete Hegseth is putting us in danger. This is a pro-Republican DAI party. They want to talk about it a lot. That day people who were unqualified to do jobs, but has there ever been someone more unqualified, unfit, incapable of doing a job than Pete Hegseth in the Department of Defense? I say no. This is ridiculous, and we have to continue to call it out in this shameful act Republicans are putting on, just letting them get through, just sliding on through Pete Hegseth, barely going to ask him a question, barely going to hold the hearing. We have to call them out, and we're going to on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video, and if you're stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments, and until next time, I'll see you soon.